Hello and welcome to This Day in Esoteric Political History from Radiotopia. My name is Jody Avirgan. This day, it's August 1904, dead summer in Washington, D.C., hot and sticky and humid as you can imagine. Maybe a good day for a light salad if you're looking for lunch, or a refreshing gazpacho maybe will do the trick. But no, not for Speaker of the House in 1904, Joseph G. Cannon of Illinois. No, on this day, Speaker Cannon went to the House dining room expecting to order his usual favorite, hot bean soup, and it was not on the menu. And this was not pleasing to the Speaker of the House, who used his bully pulpit to demand that they serve bean soup. Because clearly, there is nothing more pressing in 1904 for a politician than the menu for lunch. So Speaker Cannon, in this moment, proclaims, and I'm quoting here, "From now on, hot or cold, rain, snow, or shine, I want bean soup on the menu every day." And in some form or another, Senate bean soup has been on the menu every day except for one in almost now 120 years. So let's talk about this dish and take a moment to imagine what all that bean soup is doing to the digestive systems of our elected officials. But here, as always, to discuss are Nicole Hemmer of Vanderbilt and Kellie Carter-Jackson of Wellesley. Hello there.
Hello, Jody.
Hey there.
So, do you like bean soup? Would you be this upset were it not on the menu?
I mean, look, I love a good bean soup. I'm pro-fiber. It's great. I'm not sure that I would be apoplectic if one day I looked at a menu and it didn't have bean soup on it. But it sounds like Cannon was very much a man of routine and did not appreciate having his routine, which included hot bean soup, to be interrupted.
Yeah, you can miss me with the bean soup. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, especially I get it in the fall, November.
Oh yeah,
bean soup, something like that. I love a good bowl of chili. But no, in the summer, in the desert, and I've been to DC in the heat of the summer. No, thank you.
Well, and 1904, there's no...
It's not air-conditioned.
You're not sitting in an air-conditioned dining room saying, oh, I could have a nice little, you are feeling the heat. But Speaker Cannon really, really, really wants his bean soup. So I had a little quote there from his reaction, but you want to paint the picture a little bit more about just how upset he was at the fact that there was no bean soup?
Well, I mean, I don't think we can go much further without talking about the swear word that he uses in response to the discovery that the bean soup is missing. He says, "Thunderation. I had my mind set for bean soup." Thunderation is not one that you hear much these days anymore, so bringing it back.
Man.
So wait, so here is an interesting wrinkle in this story that I discovered. So he says, "Thunderation. I had my mind set for bean soup," and then he says, "From now on, hot or cold, rain, snow, or shine, I want it on the menu every day." Now, no surprise, this becomes lore. It also becomes a menu item. In 1955, we found this write-up of this story, many decades later, but on the House restaurant menu, they wrote this up. And in there, the quote is, "Thunderation," roared Speaker Cannon, "I had my mouth set on bean soup," which is very different from "I had my mind set on bean soup." There's something about "I had my mouth," like when you're hungry, do you say, "Oh, my mouth is set for salad," or "My mouth is set for a sandwich"? It's very strange phrasing. I just wanted to flag.
I'm also pro bringing that back because it is really evocative. When you really want something, like your mouth really is ready for it. And there's only one thing that will satisfy you once your mouth is set for whatever, bean soup, watermelon margaritas, whatever it is that you've been dreaming of all day. And so
we should bring back Thunderation. That's what I think.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure if we should bring back this particular bean soup. It is literally just white beans and smoked ham hock, a little bit of salt and pepper.
The recipe is floating around, but it's basically that. 2 pounds of white Michigan beans, soak them overnight, boil them, put some ham in there, boil them for 4 hours with salt and pepper, put some ham in there, and there you go.
A little bit of butter, a little bit of.
I don't see any butter.
No.
Onions, maybe.
Well,
if
you do get onions in the Senate, yes.
So there we go. So this is folks, you can tell that we're scraping the bottom of the bean stock pot here to come up with details for this story.
That's where all the good stuff is, down at the bottom.
That's true. But this is one of the actual interesting details in this story is that now there is a version in the Senate and a version in the House. One has onions, the other does not. That is apparently the only difference.
Yeah. I need a little bit more. I need potatoes. I need
put some herbs in there, man.
Earthier, maybe some carrots. I need I don't know.
She needs a little mise en place.
I just feel like I need. Maybe I just want chili. Maybe that's what.
That's true. Yeah, you just described chili.
You're used to hearing my voice on the world, bringing you interviews from around the globe.
And you hear me reporting environment and climate news. I'm Carolyn Beeler.
And I'm Marco Werman. We're now with you hosting The World Together. More global journalism with a fresh new sound.
Listen to The World on your local public radio station and wherever you find your podcasts.
But Kellie, it's actually funny because, obviously, we do this Oprah podcast, and one of the Oprah moments that we've talked about is that moment where she has the woman who does the award-winning chicken recipe that has zero seasoning, and she's has this reaction. So now I'm imagining Oprah Winfrey tasting speaker cannons, some cross-generational Bill and Ted sort of meeting of eras, but Oprah Winfrey tasting speaker cannon's beloved soup and being like,
Is there salt?
Is there salt? It's just ham and beans. It's just ham and beans.
This is what you went to the mat for?
I know, right? I know. That's wild because you would think there would also be other staples on the menu that sort of withstand the test of time. But this soup, 120 years on the menu, with the exception of one day. There's one day where it's not on the menu.
So tell us about that one day because I mentioned.
So this was during World War II, and they, had to do rations. Everyone was trying to ration some sort of item or product, and on this particular day, they ran out of their ration of beans, and so basically they just had broth. But that was the one day where it was not served.
There's something that I actually love about this story because, we've talked about the black market for food during these times of rationing and different things, but that in the halls of power, they ran out of their ration for beans, and so they just don't have bean soup. And I know that it's a little thing, and I know that, politicians are still terribly corrupt, but that idea that as the country was sacrificing, they sacrificed their bean soup for a day, it's not much, but it is something. And when you need just one little thing to hold on to, they went without their bean soup for a day.
Yes,
Sacrifice.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective.
I'm working, Jody.
But there is also an element of this story that does speak to classic corruption and graft and lobbying, which is that, no surprise, the bean lobby, specifically the Michigan Navy bean lobby, has been big on this and has been a big proponent of pushing this, and apparently throughout much of the sort of middle of the 20th century was really pushing, making sure that every single person was in the Senate and the House was eating bean soup so that they could fully understand how important that crop was to
leave it to the lobbyists.
Exactly.
Leave it to the lobbyists.
I try to lift us up, and the lobbyists bring us back down.
So that's about all we have to say about the bean soup. I mean, I will say there's little tidbits from here throughout the years, including some people saying that it is very hearty and energizing, and there are these marathon Senate sessions, and I guess people can go stock up on bean soup, and it's good. I would say generally if you're going to be filibustering for 8 hours, bean soup, save for one particular consequence, bean soup is probably a pretty good thing to power you through.
Sure.
So yeah, why not?
Low in calories, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that apparently people at this point don't eat it that much, but visitors really love to eat it because they know this story and it's sort of a tradition. So most of the bean soup now that is served is to visitors who want to taste the famous, very moderately famous bean soup in the mess hall there at the House or the Senate.
So the next time you go, visit this mess hall. Make sure you get yourself some bean soup. Although decide ahead of time whether or not you want onions. If you want onions, to the Senate. If you don't want onions, go over to the House.
There you go.
I'm taking onions personally.
I mean, it's got to have something else
Yeah,
in it.
I know,
besides
right?
beans.
I know. A little too skimpy for me.
So, before we started taping, we were just chatting about this story, and I think, Niki, you said, this has to have been a listener suggestion. How could we have come up with this? And I said, and I went and I did a quick search, and I was like, no, I don't think it is. But actually, it turns out it was a listener suggestion. This did not come from our mind. So thank you, Jet McNair, for suggesting this episode. And there you go. Now people can go try and top that. But we love food-related episodes. So thank you, Jet.
We need
for
a
that.
food week. That's what we need.
Oh,
We need
yeah.
a food
That'd be
week.
great. That'd be great. All right. Well, we will leave it there. Nicole Hemmer, thanks to you as always.
Thank you, Jody.
And Kellie Carter-Jackson, thanks to you.
My pleasure.
Radiotopia. From